Hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for Lesson 76 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students from the original edition. I am under no laws but God's here on St. Patrick's Day. Also, what's it also called? Red Nose Day and World Sleep Day, March the 17th of 2023. I am under no laws but God's. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's study this. We've observed before how many senseless things have seemed to you to be salvation. Each has imprisoned you with laws as senseless as itself. You are not bound by them. Yet to understand that this is so, you must first realize salvation lies not there. While you seek for it in things that have no meaning, you bind yourself to laws that make no sense. Thus do you seek to prove salvation is where it is not. Today we will be glad we cannot prove it, for if you could, you would forever seek where it is not and never find it. The idea for today tells you once again how simple is salvation. Look for it where it waits for you, and there it will be found. Look nowhere else, for it is nowhere else. Think of the freedom and the recognition that you are not bound by all the strange and twisted laws which you have set up to save you. You really think that you would starve unless you have stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs. You really think a small round pellet or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle will ward off death. You really think you are alone unless another body is with you. It is insanity to think these things. Wow. It is insanity to think these things. You call them laws and put them under different names in a long catalog of rituals that have no use and serve no purpose. You think you must obey the laws of medicine, of economics, and of health. Protect the body and you will be saved. These are not laws, but madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. The body suffers that the mind will fail to see it is the victim of itself. The body's suffering is a mask the mind holds up to hide what really suffers. It would not understand it is its own enemy, that it attacks itself and wants to die. It is from this your laws would save the body. It is for this you think you are a body. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize that it applies to everything you have made in opposition to His will. There is no laws except the laws of God. There are no laws except the laws of God. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything that you have made in opposition to His will. Your magic has no meaning. He calls the laws you make up magic. What it is meant to save does not exist. Only what it is meant to hide will save you, the mind. The laws of God can never be replaced. We will devote today to rejoicing that this is so. It is no longer a truth which we would hide. We realize instead it is a truth which keeps us free forever. Magic imprisons, but the laws of God set free. The light has come, because there are no laws but His, no laws but God's. There are no laws but God's. We will begin the longer practice period today with a short review of the different kinds of laws we have believed we must obey. These would include, for example, the laws of nutrition, the laws of immunization, of medication, the laws of medication, the laws of the body's protection in innumerable ways. These would include, these review, we're going to look inside and see We're going to look at these examples. See, here's some examples. Laws of nutrition, laws of immunization, laws of medication, and of the body's protection in innumerable ways. Think further. You believe in the laws of friendship, of good relationships and reciprocity. Perhaps you even think there are laws which set forth what is God's and what is yours. Many religions have been based on this. They would not save, but damn in heaven's name. Yet they are no more strange than other laws you hold must be obeyed to make you safe. There are no laws but God's. Dismiss all foolish magical beliefs today and hold your mind in silent readiness to hear the voice that speaks the truth to you. You will be listening to one who says there is no loss under the laws of God. Payment is neither given nor received. Exchange cannot be made. There are no substitutes, and nothing is replaced by something else. God's laws forever give and never take. God's laws forever give and never take. Hear him who tells you this and realize how foolish are the laws you thought upheld the world you thought you saw. Then listen further. He will tell you more about the love your Father has for you, about the endless joy he offers you, about his yearning for his only Son, created as his channel for creation, denied to him by his belief in hell. Let us today open God's channels to him and let his will extend through us to him. Thus is creation endlessly increased. His voice will speak of this to us as well as of the joys of heaven, which his laws keep limitless forever. We will repeat today's idea until we have listened and understood there are no laws but God's. Then we will tell ourselves as a dedication with which the practice period concludes, I am under no laws but God's. We will repeat this dedication as often as possible today, at least 4 or 5 times an hour, as well as in response to any temptation to experience ourselves as subject to other laws throughout the day. It is our statement of freedom from all danger and all tyranny. It is our acknowledgement that God is our Father and that his Son is saved. Okay, let's go look in our text reading, and we're ready for, in chapter 8, the journey back, we're ready for section Roman numeral 8, the body as means or end. While you're turning there, if you'd like to follow along, let's take a look at a potato. Being that it's St. Patrick's Day, it's potato planting time. And it says here of potatoes, did you know that potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant are all members of the nightshade family? And that's the Solanum family, potatoes being Solanum tuberosum. These are determinate and, there are determinate and indeterminate varieties of these plants too. We know about the tomatoes, but potatoes also, meaning, and determinate and indeterminate, meaning ready for harvest all at once or ready for harvest little by little. These Yukon gold potatoes are determinate. No hilling up required. Just plant it in well-compost soil with a good organic fertilizer and water only to establish the vines. They can be dry farmed after that. In 60 to 90 days, all the potatoes will be ready. So easy and so deliciously healthful. So the Yukon Gold, it's an early potato, produces a big, early, great-tasting crop of yellow-fleshed spuds for baking or mashing. Delicious, rich flavor. You'll swear it's already been buttered. Gold skin is shallow-eyed, sprout-resistant, super for storage. the Yukon gold. And that's kind of neat. Just get up until their vines are done, and then you don't have to water them so much. And okay, the body as means or end. Oh, and I read to you out of the Gurney's seed nursery catalog since 1866. The body as means or end. Attitudes toward the body are attitudes toward attack. The ego's definitions of everything are childish and always based on what it believes a thing is for. This is because it is incapable of true generalization and equates what it sees with the function it ascribes to it. It does not equate it with what it is. To the ego, the body is to attack with. Equating you with the body, it teaches that you are to attack with. Okay, equating you with the body, it teaches that you are to attack with because this is what it believes. Equating you with the body, it teaches that you are to attack with the body because this is what it believes. The body then is not the source of its own health. The body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of its function. The body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of its function. The reason why definitions in terms of function are inferior is that they may well be inaccurate. Functions are part of being since they arise from it, but the relationship is not reciprocal. The whole does define the part, but the part does not define the whole. This is as true of knowledge as it is of perception. The reason to know in part is to know entirely. The reason to know in part is to know entirely is because of the fundamental difference between knowledge and perception. The reason to know in part is to know entirely is because of the fundamental difference between knowledge and perception. In perception, the whole is built up of parts which can separate and reassemble in different constellations. Knowledge never changes, so its constellation is permanent. The only areas in which part-whole relationship have any meaning are those in which change is possible. There is no difference between the whole and the part, where change is impossible. 71. The body exists in a world which seems to contain two voices which are fighting for its possession. In this perceived constellation, the body is regarded as capable of shifting its control from one to the other, making the concept of both health and sickness possible. The ego makes a fundamental confusion between means and ends, as it always does. Regarding the body as an end, the ego has no real use for it because it is not an end. You must have noticed an outstanding characteristic of every end that the ego has accepted as its own. When you have achieved it, it has not satisfied you. This is why the ego is forced to shift from one end to another without ceasing, so that you will continue to hope that it can yet offer you something. 72. It has been particularly difficult to overcome the ego's belief in the body as an end because this is synonymous with the belief in attack as an end. The ego has a real investment in sickness. If you are sick, how can you object to the ego's firm belief that you are not invulnerable? This is a particularly appealing argument from the ego's point of view because it obscures the obvious attack which underlies the sickness. If you accepted this and also decided against attack, you could not give this false witness to the ego's stand. 73. It is hard to perceive sickness as a false witness because you do not realize that it is entirely out of keeping with what you want. This witness, then, appears to be innocent and trustworthy because you have not seriously cross-examined it. We want to learn to cross-examine these thoughts, these premises. If you did, you would not consider sickness such a strong witness on behalf of the ego's views. 74. A more honest statement would be as follows. Those who want the ego are predisposed to defend it. Therefore, their choice of witnesses should be suspect from the beginning. The ego does not call upon witnesses who would disagree with its case, nor does the Holy Spirit, but for different reasons. We have said that judgment is the function of the Holy Spirit, and one which He is perfectly equipped to fulfill. The ego as a judge gives anything but an impartial judgment. When the ego calls on a witness, it has already made the witness an ally. 75. It is still true that the body has no function of itself, because it is not an end. The ego, however, establishes it as an end, because as such, it will lose its true function. This is the purpose of everything the ego does. Its sole aim is to lose sight of the function of everything. A sick body does not make any sense. It could not make any sense because sickness is not what the body is for. Sickness is meaningful only if the two basic premises on which the ego's interpretation of the body rests are true. Specifically, these are that the body is for attack and that you are a body. Two premises that are not accurate. Need to cross-examine them. Without these premises, sickness is completely inconceivable. 76. Sickness is a way of demonstrating that you can be hurt. It is a witness to your frailty, your vulnerability, and your extreme need to depend on external guidance. The ego uses this as its best argument for your need for its guidance. It dictates endless prescriptions for avoiding catastrophic outcomes. The Holy Spirit, perfectly aware of the same data, does not bother to analyze them at all. If the data are meaningless, there's no point in considering them. The function of truth is to collect data which are true. There is no point in trying to make sense out of meaningless data. Any way you handle them results in nothing. The more complicated the results become, the harder it may be to recognize their nothingness. But it is not necessary to examine all possible outcomes to which premises give rise to judge them truly. 77. A learning device is not a teacher. It cannot tell you how you feel. You do not know how you feel because you have accepted the ego's confusion and you think that a learning device can tell you how you feel. Sickness is merely another example of your insistence on asking the guidance of a teacher who does not know the answer. The ego is incapable of knowing how you feel. When we said that the ego does not know anything, we said the one thing about the ego that is wholly true. But there is a corollary. If knowledge is being, and the ego has no knowledge, then the ego has no being. 78. You might well ask how the voice of something which does not exist can be so insistent. Have you seriously considered the distorting power of something you want, even if it is not true? You have had many instances of how what you want can distort what you see and hear. No one can doubt the ego's skill in building up false cases, nor can anyone doubt your willingness to listen until you will not to tolerate anything except truth. That sentence again. Nor can anyone doubt your willingness to listen until you will not tolerate anything except truth. When you lay the ego aside, it will be gone. The Holy Spirit's voice is as loud as your willingness to listen. The Holy Spirit's voice is as loud as your willingness to listen. It cannot be louder without violating your will. It cannot be louder without violating your will, which the Holy Spirit seeks to free, but never to command. Wow. Holy Spirit seeks to free you, but not to command you. 79. The Holy Spirit teaches you to use your body only to reach your brothers, so He can teach His message through you. This will heal them and therefore heal you. Everything used in accordance with its function as the Holy Spirit sees it cannot be sick. Everything used otherwise is. Do not allow the body to be a mirror of a split mind. Do not let it be an image of your own perception of littleness. Do not let it reflect your will to attack. Health is the natural state of anything whose interpretation is left to the Holy Spirit, who perceives no attack on anything. Let's read that sentence again. Do not, a couple sentences. Do not allow the body to be a mirror of a split mind. Do not let it be an image of your own perception of littleness. Do not let it reflect your will to attack. Health is the natural state of anything whose interpretation is left to the Holy Spirit, who perceives no attack on anything. Health is the result of relinquishing all attempts to use the body lovelessly. Let's get that down really good. Health is the result of relinquishing all attempts to use the body lovelessly. Health is the beginning of the proper perspective on life under the guidance of the one teacher who knows what life is, being the voice for life itself. Wow, isn't that beautiful? Okay, let's see. Let's look at our lesson. Do we know what we're going to do? We're going to, I am under no laws but God's. In the longer practice periods, take a short review of the different kinds of laws you believe you must obey, and he listed several in there. Laws of nutrition and immunization, medication, laws of reciprocity, what you give, you want to get it back, or what you're going to give to people because you think they're going to be giving you equal measure back. That's not to have give all to all mentality that we're trying to reach to when we're studying this lesson and all the lessons. I'm under no laws but God's. And he says, perhaps you even think there are laws which set forth what is God's and what is yours. Many religions have been based on this, and they would not save, but damn in heaven's name. And they are no more strange than other laws you hold you must obey to make you safe. There are no laws but God's. Dismiss all foolish magical beliefs today, and hold your mind in silent readiness to hear the voice that speaks the truth to you. God's laws forever give and never take. And then he says, listen, so we're going to review what laws we are operating with. And then he says, listen further. He will tell you more about the love your Father has for you, about the endless joy He offers you, about His yearning for His only Son, created as His channel for creation, denied Him by His belief in hell. We will repeat today's idea until we have listened and understood there are no laws but God's. Then we'll tell ourselves as a dedication with which the practice period concludes, I'm under no laws but God's. And then he tells us to repeat it. We will repeat this dedication as often as possible today, at least 4 or 5 times an hour, at least 4 or 5 times an hour. You say, I'm under no laws but God's. I'm under no laws but God's. And also use it to in response to any temptation to experience ourselves as subject to other laws throughout the day. So if you catch yourself thinking of another law throughout the day, use your lesson. I'm under no laws but God's. I'm under no laws but God's. but God's. I am under no laws 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 but God. I am under no law but God's. I am under no laws 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 but God's.